Hello, I'm the Pink Phantom, and this is my podcast. Join me as I delve into the world of games and gaming, and especially old school RPGs. Together, let's voyage into the astral realm and check out my Phantom thoughts. Hello, I'm back. There was a brief hiatus there. Had a hurricane roll through the area a couple of weeks ago, and it knocked out power for a little over a week. I tend to do most of my recording on the weekend, so that knocked out that week's show, obviously. And then the next week, I don't know, I guess I just wasn't in the mood. But I'm back. I've got an episode today, got a call in from Riley about what dice to roll to get that pesky 40 to 60 range answer or range of results. I also have an additional gameplay session from my Tales of the Dragon Slayers AD&D solo campaign. And by the time you're listening to this, if you're listening to it as it pops, you probably already should have seen a little short episode delving into rulings over rules as part of OctoSR. Again, getting a late start on that because of power outages and stuff. But I hope to pop up some more kind of shortish episodes on OctoSR on OSR related topics. So keep an eye out for that and hope you enjoy.
Hey, Pink Phantom, Riley here, just calling in on what I think is your latest episode where you had a question about dice and how to roll 40 to 60. Taylor from Cloaks Wearing Mail gave you his sort of answer, which was very similar to yours, and that prompted me that I had intended to call in. So forgive me if I've made any mistakes in remembering. It's a few days post-listening that I'm recording this. Now, this is a tricky one, right? So there's 21 results between 40 and 60. I think the way that you did it is very good. You just ignore the in-betweens and you go, it's either 40, 50, or 60. You roll a d3 and assign it. However, if you did want results between 40 and 60, inclusive of 41, 42, 43, 51, 52, 53, etc., this is how you would do it. It's much easier if you include up through to 69. In this case, you could roll a d30 if you had one, or you roll a d10 and a d3, and the d3 times the d10, right? But unfortunately, we do not have 30 results. We have 21. So this is how you go about it. First, just a general note about these dice ranges. Really annoying that they just used ranges because it's very difficult to interpret. Like, let's say 1 to 6. Okay, well, that's probably a d6. But 2 to 12, am I meant to roll 2 d6s? Or can I roll a d12, ignore the 12, add 1? Like, they're very different ranges of results. I meant to roll multiple dice. In this case, I'm going to assume that 40 to 60 is going to be equal odds for each result. So the way that I tend to do this is I look at the factors of the number. So 21, we've got 21 and 1 times them together, you get 21. 3 and 7 times them together, you get them together. So if we had a D21, we could roll that and get the result. We don't, unfortunately. So instead we have to look at the 7 and 3. Do we have a D3 kind of with the D6? Do we have a D7? Not really, again, unless you've got socky dice. But D7's not too bad to just use a D8 instead. So in this case, I roll a D8, ignoring the 8, so re-rolling that, and a D3. And there is a math formula for how you might do this, but if you roll 1 on the D3, you just count the D7 as is. If you roll a 2, you add 7 to that result. And if you rolled a 3, you had 14 to that result. That gives you numbers between 1 and 21. And then you can add, in this case, 39 to that result. If you get a 1, 39 is 40. If you get the 21st, you get to 60. Fairly tricky. So again, I think 40 to 60 and just getting 40, 50, or 60 is perfectly okay. Anyway, sorry for the long rant on that. Enjoying the content as always. Keep it up. Bye for now.
Thank you for that, Riley. I do love the math games that we play sometimes when we're trying to figure out what dice we're supposed to roll. I do agree it would make more sense if you're going to put in a damage or an increment or something that's going to require rolling dice that you just put it down as 2d4 or 6d8 or whatever the multiple is. The way they do with usually with spell damage, but then some of that is due to the fact that a lot of spell damage is level based, so you have to just give them the basic dice, and then you're going to multiply by the level. But yeah, that 40 to 60 had me stumped for sure, and it was somewhat comforting for Taylor to say that he'd done it about the same way I did. But I like the way that you put it. I appreciate the link you also sent in that message that you sent me on Discord. That was interesting as well. And thank you again for calling in. And now, more from my solo AD&D RPG campaign, Tales of the Dragon Slayers. So when last we left the Dragon Slayers, they had finished exploring the northeast corner of the upper area that they've been exploring, and they've gotten down to about to head to the last area in the southwest corner, though they don't know that's the last of the area. And I realized that the 3 rooms that I explored the last time, I'd been doing like kind of some light dungeon dressing, indicating the type of room that they were. And so I went back to look and see, I was going to roll on it, and I realized that something that jumped out to me was, because of the configuration of the rooms, a 20 by 20 room with a door to the west and a door to the south that led to a room with a trapped sliding wall. It would make perfect sense for that 20 by 20 room to be a guard room, for the room to the west to be sort of the utility area for the guards where they keep various things, and for that room to the south, that octagonal room to the south with the sliding wall, to be a prison. So I've just kind of made those notes on my notes. But now the party heads to the last section of the dungeon. It's going to take them about 3 turns to get there, so we're going to roll for random encounter check. And with a 4, they don't get anything. And so they're going to get there, they're going to take a rest, and then they're going to be again exploring. They had left off in a room that had a cistern in it, and it had 3 ways out, even though it was only 30 feet wide. It had 3 ways out to the south and 1 to the west. They'd explored one that went south, that was on the southwest corner, and kind of went off on diagonal to the southeast corner, and went on diagonal to southeast, and they found a strong room. So now they're going to go down the south corridor, and it's a 30-foot long corridor, and it ends with a trick or trap. So we're going to roll on the traps table. You get the percentile dice out, and we get a 90, which is a teleporter. So where will this teleport go? I'm going to treat it as a door and roll on the table for doors. So getting the D20 here. We're going to get an 11. That's a room. So rolling on the room table, we get a 19. That's an unusual shape and size. So we roll again. We get a 7. That's triangular. And then we need to roll for the area of the room. So the party walks to the end of the corridor searching, and they trigger the teleporter, and they're teleported to the location of this triangular room. And it is going to be about 1,300 square feet. And so, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I'm going to draw a triangle that's about 50 feet along the base and 50 feet height. And that should cover roughly enough squares to be about 1,300 square feet, I believe. Just doing a rough thought process quickly here. And what is in this room? Nothing. There's nothing in the room. It's just a room you teleport in. What type of room we got? Do some little dungeon dressing here. See if anything leaps out at me that would be interesting in a room that you'd find a teleporter in. Given the nature of the other rooms seem to indicate a group of guards or soldiers. Maybe this is an armory, a secret armory there's nothing magical here, but maybe there's some basic suits of armor or pieces of suits of armor laying around. And so the party searches the room to see if there's any secret doors or any way out or anything like that. And then they spend some time trying to make the teleporter work again. There's some runes on the wall that they start just kind of trying to figure out. Let's see. That'll take enough time. We'll do a random encounter check to see if maybe there's a creature lurking in a shadow in one of the corners. But with a 5, there's no encounter. So they do manage to get themselves back into that corridor and back up to the room with the cistern. And so now they take the last door to the south, the one on the southwest corner. It immediately turns, as soon as they get out of the room, turns to the west. They detect a secret door to the south. So they make a note of that, and they try to look at it and try to find a way to kind of jam the mechanism. That way it doesn't open behind them while they're searching the rest, because they've made a habit of kind of leaving the secret doors to later. But the corridor as a whole goes west for 30 feet before turning north and going 30 feet. And when they get up, they see that it also connects to the eastern passage that comes out of that cistern as well. And then there is another way further west. Going about 10 feet, they walk into a chamber. It's 20 feet east-west to 30 feet north-south, with the opening being in the middle of the east wall of the chamber. And on the west wall of the chamber, they see a door. Now, is there anything in this room? There is nothing in this room. Let's roll to get a result to see if something makes sense for what's in this room. All right, a 12. So what does that give us on this list? Well, we're to cistern, or if we go to the other column, a robing room. Robing room might be interesting, depending on what's in the next room. So let's look at the next room. The party listening at the door for our thief. 41, he doesn't hear anything. Gus tries to open the door. On a 3, he gets the door open. So what is in this room? Also nothing. So a lot of nothing. So if that was a robing room, but it is a 30 by 30 foot room, and in addition to the door they came in with, they discover secret doors in the northeast corner going north and the southwest corner going south. So I think if the other room is a robing room, it makes sense that this is a shrine of some kind. It's some kind of maybe a holy place, or if not a holy place, a place where rites are overseen for various gods. So there's statues or images of gods chiseled on the wall. There's probably various runes, which they're probably initially very avoiding, considering their recent teleportation. But they do search the room. They'll probably take a rest first and then search the room. We'll have to do a random encounter check here. Up, and we get a 1. So we're going to get a random encounter. So is it something they've encountered before? 50-50 chance. And with a 58, it is not. It is a new encounter of some sort. So rolling to see which level we'll be rolling on. Rolling a 10. That's going to put us on a level 1 encounter of some sort. So rolling our percentile dice and looking at our charts, get a 39, or that will be a 12, consulting the chart that is 2d10. So on the DMG, that is a human, so that's a subtype of human. And on the Bean Folio, that 39 will also be human subtable. And on the Watch Monitor 2, that will be orcs. So I'm going to go with the human subtable since it came up 2 out of the 3 places. So rolling percentile dice, we get a 50, which gives us Characters. So another party of characters. So how many of these will be leveled characters? It's a D4 plus 1. Rolled a 3, so it's 4 leveled characters. And those leveled characters are 59, a fighter. 46, also a fighter. 18, another druid. And 43, another fighter. So 3 fighters and a druid. So we're going to say this is a neutral party. So let's see if either side is surprised, because this will determine whether or not they do essentially a straight reaction roll, or if Gus will be speaking to them, and the reaction roll will be modified by his modifier, and of course the differences in alignment. So is the party surprised? On a 4, they are not. Is the neutral party surprised? On a 1, they are. So Gus gets an opportunity to speak to them because the party is mostly neutral good or lawful good, so that I'll consider that 1 place removed from true neutral, because Gus is lawful good. I'll consider that 2 places removed. So it'll be a combined from those 2 things, minus 20%, but Gus is a plus 30% because of his charisma, so it'll be a plus 10% to the roll. And our roll is a 98. So plus 10 is 108. And that gives us enthusiastic, friendly, immediate acceptance. So this is a party that listens. They're surprised, but Gus speaks to them, and they have a great rapport, and he explains that this keep belongs to this party now. And so the neutral party is willing to be escorted out of the party by some of the Dragon Slayer's men that they have kind of hovering in the background. So this encounter is just a good conversation and potential allies for later, possibly. But for now, they're going to be escorted out of the keep, and the party will be able to continue on. So now what the party has left are the 3 secret doors, the 2 in this room that they currently occupy, and the 1 that they found earlier. So will they go north or south? They're going to go south. So we have Bernie checking for listening. 95, he doesn't hear anything. And then they spend a turn figuring out how to open the door, and they open it. And it opens into a 20 by 20 foot room. The door is in the northwest corner of that room on the north wall. And inside this room is nothing. So not much of anything in this corner of the building so far. Since this is a secret door off of a shrine, I think it makes sense that this is some sort of a meditation chamber. And maybe there are runes and sigils on the wall that maybe have some sort of meaning that the party can't comprehend at this moment. They'll spend some time exploring it, or searching it rather, but there's nothing to find. But it does give us time for another random encounter check, and nothing. So now they go to the north secret door and go through the same process. This time, Bernie potentially hears something, and we open up the door here and get the door opened, and inside is monster and treasure. Now, the party cannot be surprised because Bernie heard whatever was at the door. So we'll see if the creature or group is surprised. Let's throw a die. Let's try this again. On a 4, it is not. So there is no surprise. So again, we see if this is a previously encountered monster or group. With 25, it is. And I'm going to say that this is where that other party retreated to. They have found them there, and this has been sort of their base of operations. So this is where they've been exploring this dungeon from. And they've adopted this as a place to retire to and recover. Of course, they haven't had much time to recover from their last encounter with the party, which will make for some interesting choices for them due to some of the resources they've already expended, not the least of which is some of them having lost a lot of hit points. But since we're at about 15 minutes here, I'm trying to keep these from being extremely long. We will do that next time. The opening theme of this podcast was Strength of the Titans, and the closing music is Late Night Radio, both from Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com, licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 4.0 license. If you have any thoughts or feedback, you can get in touch with me by leaving me a voice message on my Google Voice number, 864-209-1441. That's 864-209-1441. Or through SpeakPipe at www.speakpipe.com/Phantom Thoughts. That's www.speakpipe.com/Phantom Thoughts. Or you can send me a message or an audio file on Discord, where I can be found the Pink Phantom, or through email, phantomthoughtspodcast@gmail.com. That's phantomthoughtspodcast@gmail.com. I don't have to play or read your feedback on the podcast if that is not your preference. Just let me know.